It is spring football across the nation, and we head to the ACC and Miami with Cam Underwood from State of the U to talk about the Canes after 3 or 4 sessions in the books and just putting the pads on in their last go about on the field. Cam, how you doing today?
Doing really well. Excited. It's a little bit of football coming back, so I know people are starting to get that itch. So it's good to be able to talk about some on-field stuff.
Yeah, especially as a lot of people's teams get knocked out of the NCAA tournament, then it's like, okay, well, basketball season's over. Happens like that with a lot of teams, and you can feel the pain there, and then you got to turn to football. And so we got spring football at Miami. And so what are the early impressions, some of the early storylines that are coming out of Coral Gables?
Yeah, we were one of those teams that had a quick exit of the NCAA tournament. But anyway, yeah, talking about football. It's always good to get guys back on the field. We have a bunch of early enrollees this year. We have 10 freshmen who graduated high school early and are on campus for their first spring practice. They went through the mat drill program. They've been in the weight room. They've been, at the training table, which is the athletic cafeteria. They had a really nice looking prime rib the other day, by the way. That was really outstanding. But you get guys integrated that way, and you're just going through a bunch of stuff. So, the early returns, obviously the first 2 days when you cannot have pads on because that's an acclimation period, and that's across every level of football. You got guys in shorts and T-shirts and helmets, and, everybody looks like an All-American, in those kind of settings and things like that. So, first of all, the depth chart is still a little bit unsettled at pretty much every position because the depth chart, to start practice, was based upon academic performance and performance during the mat drill program. And there's been videos that have been put up. You can check our website, stateoftheu.com, also hurricanesports.com, also, pretty much any Miami Hurricanes Twitter account. Videos of mat drills. They lay out the mats a specific way. They go through calisthenics and things like that, plyometrics in a specific kind of a way in every position group. So that was what set the depth chart to start spring practice. So you have guys who are starting with the number 1 group at cornerback who are just plain and simple not going to play at all. So some of those things, you get. I call them a little bit of roster games, but it's good that where you have some kind of a thing where those guys do get recognition for their academic work, for their mat drill work. And I mean, we have had Braxton Berrios got his first B+ ever in the history of life last semester. And I mean, he had been a straight A student since forever. So we have guys who have high achievement, academically. So don't let that fool you into thinking, okay, Miami is still suntan U and all that kind of stuff from, the early 80s and whatnot. It's not that. But yeah, the depth chart is kind of unsettled. So that's the first thing. Obviously, at defensive back, where you have guys who are jumping up from your walk-on status or whatever to the top of the rotation. We have 2 grad transfers coming in May. You got D. Delaney from the Citadel, and you have Javante Dean coming from junior college. He might be a little bit later than May, but you're missing some of the guys who are going to be there, and that's the first thing. Second thing, some of the freshmen are really, really playing well from all reports. Navon Donaldson, one of our top-rated recruits at right tackle or offensive line, is playing right tackle on the first team offensive line. And that's for a combination of factors. Number 1, he's really, really good, and I think he's going to see the field early this year, early and often. He might even start from day 1, but we'll see about that. But he has the ability to play multiple positions on the line, guard or tackle. I like him at right tackle where he is now. But in addition to him having talent, Miami wanted to put him next to a veteran guy at left or right guard so that the veteran can lean over and be like, oh, this is what this means. Oh, hey, how about this? Oh, hey, how about that? So they have, Casey McDermott at right guard right now, who's a senior next to the true freshman. So McDermott was a 4-star, 5-star recruit 4 years ago, brother of a former center at the University of Miami. So he's, gotten information passed down from his brother and then the other guys who were there. Now he's passing that information on to Navon Donaldson, who just really is doing a very good job from all reports. There's been a couple videos of him, working on his footwork, working on the, combination blocks, because obviously offensive line is a position group where you need to be, in tandem with other people. Mark Richt was giving glowing feedback on Donaldson. They were running a power play, and basically he was down blocking the defensive tackle across. And Mark Richt lit up when he's talking about it. He's like, man, and you just see it happen. And, whoo, he's getting hyped. And he's like, it's just one play. I know it's only one play, but man, you got movement on the 3 technique like that and such. So, yeah, he's doing really well. DJ Dallas, another early enrollee, is doing well at wide receiver. He was a multi-tier, wondering where he's going to land, whether it's going to be defensive back, running back, wide receiver, things like that. So, yeah, he's doing pretty well. And then you have guys who are just back and they're doing a good job. Chad Thomas, who's somebody that I wrote an article about because he produced the opening track on Rick Ross's new album. And there was a source reportedly and a wondering by Miami Herald sports writer if his interests in music were detracting from his abilities in football. And I kind of had to light that on fire because in plain English, I think that is bullshit. And you can read that on the website. It's On Chad Thomas and Music, I believe is what it's called. Probably my favorite piece of writing that I've ever personally done. But getting back to on the field, Chad Thomas is leading the defensive line group. He's doing really well. RJ McIntosh, Kendrick Norton, Joe Jackson is up to 258 pounds. He gave even a little bit heavier. The linebacking core, obviously returning as sophomores, Quarterman, McLeod, and Pinckney, they're doing really well. Robert Burns is an early enrollee, running back, oft injured in high school, but man, he looks the part. 5'11", 215 pounds. And if he can stay healthy, I think that'll be a big addition. So he's been doing really well. Mark Walton is, the rock, the foundation of the running game, and he's been looking to take his game to a new level. So across the board, that there are some positive things obviously going on. I think that I have buried the lead a little bit. The biggest conversation point is going to be the quarterback competition because, in case you missed it, Miami Hurricanes' all-time leading passer, Brad Kaya, is going to the NFL, and so we now look to replace him at quarterback. So that battle is going to be ongoing as we move forward through the spring and into the summer. I don't think that there's anybody who's going to be 100% named the starter coming through spring, even though some people might want that. But, Malik Rosier has talent. He started here a game before that infamous Duke win, which is great. Go watch that video again of that crackback block, David Njoku, in the return, please, and thank you. So he's a guy who has talent. Rosier said his personal percentage in practice right now is about 70% completions. So obviously take that as a good thing, but with a grain of salt, because I don't know if that's 100% accurate or not. Number 2 is Evan Sheriffs right now, a kid from Jefferson, Georgia, valedictorian of his high school class, very talented kid. He's big and strong. He's 6'6", probably about 215 now. So that's a guy who's in the conversation. He's very cerebral as well. So, and he has more talent than I think people are giving him credit for. And I've said that for a couple of years here. Jack Allison is running 3rd right now in reps, but he has a world of talent and he has a really, really amazing arm. And those are your top 3 contenders. Cade Weldon, early enrollee quarterback, is on campus right now. But the other contender is N'Kosi Perry from Ocala Vanguard, 4-star recruit, who is not on campus yet and will be on campus in May and then integrate himself into that battle full time. So you really have a few guys, and Mark Richt has already said he's not going to make a 100% decision right now. And I believe that's because, I talked about it through recruiting that N'Kosi Perry was Mark Richt's number 1 player on the board, not number 1 quarterback, number 1 overall recruit in this class. So when you have a hand-picked kind of guy like that, you want to see him on campus in your system before you decide one way or the other. Could it very well be Malik Rosier really steps his game up and is consistent and he's the guy? Yes. Jack Allison, Evan Sheriffs, Cade Weldon, you can make the case for any and all of those guys. I'm not trying to discount those guys. However, when you have a guy of N'Kosi Perry's talent, when you have a guy of his caliber, when you have a guy of his stature in this recruiting class, when you said this is my number 1 recruit overall, it bears, it makes sense that Mark Richt will want to see N'Kosi Perry in the program before deciding one way or the other about where he wants to go at quarterback. And I know that was kind of a long, twisting, turning answer, but I think I'm done for the opening response.
All right. I know in reading your article, Cam, Mark Richt made some typical coaching kind of comments, but it seemed to be a little bit more verbose about how well the team was taking to the drills, the amount of kids that were able to just show enthusiasm and tempo and all of it coming together as a group, not pointing out anyone particular, except for maybe, as you mentioned, Mark Walton being outstanding in his work ethic, but just as a group and being very excited about the guys being ready to compete and ready to get out there, and the tempo being great, because we know that these coaches have limited time with these kids on the field and want to create tempo because they want to create that vibe, that atmosphere, and that urgency, but also to get a lot of work in a small period of time. And he's happy about where they're headed after just a few practices. So
before you go on, I just want to jump in there. And the thing that Evan Shearers mentioned yesterday at media availability was, when last year, when the new staff got here, and they obviously did not integrate themselves till after the bowl game. That was the Sun Bowl loss to Washington State. After that is when the new staff took over. The installs for everybody were new because all the players, it was their first time in that system. So the first time with the coaches, strength and conditioning, everything was brand new for everybody. Now this year, the returning players know what the drills are. They know what the tempo is supposed to be. They know how the transitions work. They know all those little kind of interstitial pieces of the program. So yeah, you're talking about, okay, now we can go a little bit faster because on the mat drills, there is no hesitation going from A to B. Now the new kids, they're kind of just like lemmings. They're following the guy in front of them. And if it happens to be running off the edge of the cliff, then that's what it is. But the returning guys, they really do understand all the parts and pieces of the program because they've been here for a year. So I think that has been helpful for, the setting of tempo and, all those kind of things that you just mentioned, Mark Richt talking.